Monday morning. It's a nasty, muggy, rainy day, and decided to have a cigar this morning and get my Monday review out of the way. Generally, I do these late afternoon, early evening, so that I can smoke a more full-bodied cigar. But I was doing a little house cleaning in my humidor, just rearranging some things, getting things out of bags and in the boxes, and I came across a couple of mild cigars. So I thought, well, no better time to have a mild cigar than now. Because typically, when I'm not working around the house, I like to go outside and have a cigar in the morning. And well, that's not an option today since it's so miserable out. But so here I am indoors with a Perdomo Reserve Champagne. This has got a Connecticut shade wrapper on it. Some information. I just figures I put all the information away. It's got a the wrapper leaf is aged 6 years, and these were just released in 2004. And from what the Perdomo website says, these are actually a seasonal release. However, I've actually never seen these out of stock in any of the tobacconists that I go to. There's only a couple that I know of that carry it, but I've never seen it out of stock. And these come out of Nicaragua, again with a Connecticut shade wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan fillers. And as I mentioned, they were released in 2004 in an 898 format, which essentially means there's 25 cigars to a box. Inside the box there's 3 rows of cigars, 8 on the bottom, 9 in the middle, 8 on the top, hence the 898, and gives you 25 cigars. So without any further ado, we're going to get this bad boy lit up and get things underway. Now the size of this particular cigar is it's a perfecto to start. You might be able to see that. You see it's slight taper towards the top, and it's a 54 by 4 3/4. The pre-light draw is nice and free. It's got some really nice, like semi-sweet flavors to it. The aroma is fantastic. I took it out of the cellophane and set it in the ashtray for a minute while I was filling out my ICRS sheet, and I could smell it from the ashtray. Now, granted, it's maybe a foot away from where I'm sitting, but still, the aroma was really wafting off the cigar, and it smells fantastic. The pre-light draw is excellent as well. And without any further ado, let me get the cigar lit. And the reason I used my polio cutter is actually my lighter and my cutter in my pants from yesterday, which doesn't do me any good now. That was a little difficult. Unfortunately, I have my Calibri lighter sitting here, but it ran out of fluid the other day, and I didn't realize it until I said, "Oh, it's time to light the cigar." And there's a pack of matches sitting in front of me, and then it dawned on me, "Oh, no fluid in that lighter." So anyway, I got my cigar lit. It's producing really rich flavor right away. There's a little bit of spice into it, and so far to start, it's very nice. So. I'm not going to get into it too much. I want to, we'll save that for the first third. So I'm going to smoke a little bit more of my cigar, kick back, listen to some music. I'm also pairing this with some Earl Grey tea this morning. So I'm going to drink some tea, smoke some cigar, catch up on some news on the web, and I'll be back in just a sec, and we'll get started. Well, welcome back, folks. I'm plugging away on my Perdomo Reserve Champagne, and unfortunately I got a little carried away. I got tied up online, and the cigar actually went out on me. Just knocked the ash off, touched it up, and back in business. And so far, I'm really, just really happy with it. It's starting out as a fantastic cigar. It puts out a lot of smoke. It's really thick, easy to get through your sinuses, easy to blow around the room. It's light colored. The resting smoke isn't very heavy, which leads to a slower burning time. The smoke is nice and cool. The body's about medium, and the finish is very smooth. It's a little edgy to start, and then I'd say within 3 seconds it fades, and it just leaves you with a smooth, almost kind of creamy kind of feel on your tongue and on the palate. It's just really nice. The base flavor is you get sort of like a mild buttery flavor out of it, and it's just you get like a sweet tobacco flavor and a little bit of earthiness. I'm just really liking it so far. It's got that Nick zing, as Dale from Dog West Cigar Radio would say. And that's where that little bit of edginess is, especially when it comes through your sinuses. You get that little bit of that Nicaraguan zing comes through, and I think that's what gives it that bit of a medium body and a slight edginess. But other than that, I think it's a great morning cigar. It's going really well with my Earl Grey tea. I don't know. I think it would also go very good with coffee. But for the time being, I'm really happy with it. The burns is fairly even. It's off a little bit, but it's well within my tolerance. It's got a fairly firm ash. I really had to knock it off when it was time to touch up the cigar. It's pretty light in color, and it's just the cigar's performing pretty well. So I'm going to get back to smoking my cigar. I got to get another cup of tea. I'm just about out, and I'll be back for the second third of the set. Well, welcome back, folks. You can see I'm plugging right along, and cigar's still performing just as well as it was, when I started it. Can't say enough about it. I'm just really happy with it so far. One of the nice things about these Perfecto Shake cigars is the fact that generally they're tapered enough that the band will just, with a little bit of wiggle, it'll just fall right off the cigar. And generally there's absolutely no damage done to the cigar, which is why I like it so much. So that's among my favorite things about Perfecto shaped cigars, because generally I smoke cigars down past the band, and sometimes you just get that band that's got a little bit of glue on the wrapper, and next thing you know you're tearing a hole in it and everything else. And and another thing about this cigar, it didn't even dawn on me. I'm sitting here right in front of the wrapper. These Perdomo Reserve lines, they're pretty easy to distinguish by the cellophane they come in. This one's like an orange color, like a copper color, and the Reserve Cameroon's got like a silver color. The Sun-Grown's white, and Maduro's red. So they're very easy to distinguish when you're in the cigar shop looking around, and the bands coincide with the color of the cellophane. So just a little bit of useless information there, just to make things a little bit longer. But as you can see, the burn's pretty even. It's putting out a fairly light resting smoke. The smoke time is going pretty well. I'm going on an hour and 18 minutes now, and which obviously says that the cigar is burning nice and slow. It's producing a cool, thick smoke. It's still very flavorful. The base flavor is still very consistent. It's got like that little bit of a buttery kind of flavor to it. It's got these really nice, just rich, deep, sweet tobacco flavors. It's just like natural flavors that are going really well with the medium body. Now that little bit of an edginess that I was picking up before, that Nick Zing as Dale would call it, it's beginning to intensify a little bit. So it's still medium, but it's kind of pushing at it a little bit. It's almost crossing the line in the medium to full, and it's not so much that it would be a bad cigar in the morning. I'm really enjoying it. It's not really early anymore. It's almost noon, but I don't think it would be a bad cigar really early in the day either. Say 8, 9 o'clock. With a cup of coffee right after breakfast or something. And I'm just very happy with it. I keep saying that. It's sounding like a broken record. The finish is still, it's thick. It gives you a nice sort of semi-thick texture in your mouth. Not quite syrupy, but it doesn't leave you feeling dry either. It's kind of middle of the road, real nice. It's nice and smooth. Again, it's got a little bit of an edge to it, but I think it gives the cigar a little bit of character, and I enjoy it. That about does it for the second third, and just wanted to kind of change the subject a little bit and say, Mike, that was kind of impressive with the Cubaliados review. When you actually knew what song it was that I played. The Tools right in two, and it must have been playing for a couple of seconds, if that. For those of you that aren't aware, I use an internet radio service. It's called Last FM. It's www.last.fm. I've got a profile on there, and I think I almost have 50,000 tracks scrabbled, which is like logging your music history. And I think it's great. And when I'm doing these reviews, I put the service on. It doesn't have a pause feature, so when I turn the camera on, I turn the volume all the way down, and then when it's time to turn the camera off, I pull the slider over and start playing music. And that just happened to be the song that was playing when Mike picked it out. So that was pretty impressive. Maybe I'll try that again right before the video ends, and we'll make a little game out of this, see if you can pick up the next one. So anyway, thanks, Mike. That was pretty cool. It was nice to see that. But without any further ado, I'm going to take a break, and I'll be back. We'll do the final third and a wrap up, and then I'll let you get on your way. So I'll see you in just a second. Well, welcome back, folks. Still plugging away on my Perdomo Reserve Champagne, and gotta say, it's been pretty consistent. I'm really enjoying it. The ash is nice and light, good and firm, hasn't fallen on my lap and burnt a hole in my shorts yet, but there's always, just like last time. Anyway, the burn's been great. The burn rate is, I started smoking, I don't know, right around 11 o'clock. It's just after 1, so 2 hours is pretty good for this size cigar at 4 3/4. The base flavors are great. It's got a really nice kind of buttery, almost like a buttery aftertaste that comes in, and it's really enjoyable. The base flavor is still like a sweet, really rich tobacco flavor that I really like. There's not many different flavors in the cigar, but the really rich, sweet, natural tobacco flavors and this buttery aftertaste go really well together. It's making for a fantastic cigar. Even though it's kind of afternoon now, when I started it, I got a late start to the day, had just had breakfast, and it's going really well for this time of day. I even think that this could hold up well, sort of mid-afternoon, maybe a little bit later before dinner. That little bit of that Nick Zing, that little bit of an edginess really comes through, and it builds even more as you get to the final third. But it just seems to add a lot of character, and it just adds some depth to the cigar. It makes it that much more enjoyable. The body is still about medium. It's pushing the limits. It's almost medium to full, but it's and the only reason it's almost medium to full is just that little bit of edginess. I mean, if that weren't there, this would be a mild to medium cigar. Without, there's no doubt in my mind that it would be, mild to medium. And I just can't say it enough. It makes for a really nice cigar. And I've been impressed with the Perdomo Reserve line. I mean, prior to smoking the Perdomo Reserve Cameroon, I had really nothing good in my mind about Perdomo. I mean, my first experience with Perdomo was an ESV Estate Selection, and I got those in a 5-pack from Cigars International, and they were just absolute terrible cigars. I mean, if you look back in the previous reviews on the website, you'll find that I did a written review on that quite a while back, and it just was terrible. The cigar fell apart in my hand, and it seemed like every one I smoked from that 5-pack was just terrible. It left me with a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't want anything to do with Perdomo because they were fairly expensive cigars. The construction was terrible. The wrappers looked horrible. And I wanted nothing to do with Perdomo after that. And then I got the Reserve Cameroon in a sampler, and to date it's still one of my favorite Cameroon cigars. I just really like it. And now we're continuing with more of the Reserve line in the Champagne, and it's making for a fantastic cigar. It really has piqued my interest. I want to go down, grab the Maduro out of my cooler and light it up, and then grab the Sun-Grown out of my cooler and light it up, because this Reserve line has been good. I mean, we've done the Perdomo Lot 23 review a while back with Bob and Dale, and again that was a pretty good cigar too. So maybe I shouldn't judge cigars on just one 5-pack. It's hard to do sometimes because it seems like every cigar out of the 5-pack is just bad, and you get this mindset that this line of cigars, in this case Perdomo, is not putting out a good product, and you want to stray away from them. And I've been smoking the Perdomo Slow Age Lot 829s every now and again, and they're a good cigar too. I had a really nasty looking problem with one of them where I was getting a lot of tar, and it was just pretty foul. You look around, there's some pictures on Club Stogie of the the oil field I had on the tip of the cigar. But so far it's been good. It seems like every Perdomo that I smoked since those first batch have been really nice, and I think that this is going to become a staple morning cigar. The only problem is that these are fairly expensive. They're outside of my comfort zone. I don't mean they're really expensive. They're about $6 a piece, and I usually get them from Cigars International. They run these new customer samplers, they call them, but they're available to anyone. I've gotten no problems ordering them, and I'm certainly not a new customer. I mean, we're talking, I don't know, it's like 7 or 8 cigars for $10, and they've also got plus shipping. You pay $15 for these cigars, and the selection is usually pretty good. And there's generally a Perdomo Reserve in there, whether it be Cameroon, Maduro, Champagne, or the Sun-Grown. And they've also got another one that includes a humidor, and every time it pops up, I buy it. I mean, how can you pass up a handful of decent cigars for under $20 and get a humidor on top of that on occasion? So when they pop up, I order them, and that's where I've gotten all my Perdomo Reserves. So I've gotten them all for cheap, dirt cheap. So I'm going to keep looking out for them. I don't know that I would really like to spend $6 on a regular, on a regular basis for a morning cigar, but it turned out to be a very nice cigar. I really enjoyed it. So that about does it for the Perdomo Reserve Champagne. I think that if you like medium-bodied cigars with a little bit of an edge to it, I think this is something you want to give a shot. And it's still producing lots of smoke, even when it's this short. I mean, it's a pretty small cigar at this point. It remains cool. It gives you a nice, smooth flavor, good volume of smoke throughout. It's just, I've really enjoyed it. So, we'll leave it right there. It was a good cigar. I really enjoyed it. If you like medium-bodied cigars, definitely give it a shot. And that about does it for the Perdomo Reserve Champagne. Yeah, combine Champagne and Cameroon. That's what you get. But there's a lot going on with the site. Been really, really busy. Nothing new to report. just want to mention again that we've got that Stinky Cigar Ashtray, the Herf edition, coming up soon. So start looking through your pictures now, and get some entries ready. And with that said, happy smoking. Oh, and Mike, here's a little quick one. This is from a band that I like, so maybe I'll pick this one out too. Anyway, happy smoking.